This plea was made by President Hage Geingob as he returned to the historic Apollo Theater in Harlem in New York 40 years later as one of the guests during a panel discussion titled Next Narrative Africa, The Bridge. The conversation examined the changing narrative on the continent, which used to be associated only with poverty, hunger, and other notions contrary to the socio-economic development. While acknowledging the challenges, President Geingob wants those of African descent in the diaspora to contribute to the changing narrative by telling positive African stories and breaking stereotypes.
Africa is open to do business. Africa is open to gain. There is no more brain drain. If you are here, you went to schools, you are rich, that's a gain for Africa. It's a brain gain. So you, as diaspora, must play your role. You are quiet, actually. Africa is being misrepresented, attacked, but you don't say anything. Rather, you join those who are trying to play Africa down. Africa is on a march. As far as I'm concerned, Namibia, we are thinking of big things. We are talking now about green hydrogen, for instance. We're not talking about just agriculture. Green hydrogen, we discovered also massive oil.
The recent coups across the Sahel indicate a reversal of the accepted democratic processes and governance. These have led to some Africans fleeing the continent in search of stability and economic opportunities. President Geingob says even amid these instances, the continent remains steadfast in solving its own problems, unlike in the past, where Europe or the US would intervene first.
You see, we Africans now believe in term limits. Don't tell me about coups now. Don't jump to coups first. I will say in Africa, we had first wave of African leaders. Extraordinary personalities, Kwame Nkrumah and them. First, wake up and fight for your freedom. Those are extraordinary personalities. To make it short, second wave, we had those who were caught up in Cold War confusion. There are military coups and one-party state. Not all of them were bad. Nyerere did very well with one-party state. Now we regard ourselves as a third wave of African leaders. We all claim that we come through constitutional means. We all believe in term limits. I believe in it. Now, don't say there are coups. We come through constitutional means. But when there are coups, as it is, who reacts? Who is kicking them out from AU? It's us. Not Americans, not British. It will be us who will say, you came through military coup. You are not going to be part of our AU until you have a properly elected government. Well, we have lot of coups now in French-speaking Africa right now. Those are reversals. We take care of it. We are the ones who are going to see. And also coups occur because we like to overstay those of us who are in power.
Panelists all agreed that Africa is just like any other continent, but it will take a shift in the mindset and of the media to expand this narrative.
It's the difference between telling a story about the continent where you make poverty or the conflict the hero of that story. And I often use the example of the Ukraine war, which is going on. And if you read the stories about the Ukraine war, they've humanized the Ukrainians. You know who's suffering. It's not some conflict somewhere with some generals, and they have become the hero of their stories.
Africa, your biggest asset is the youth. So what I can say to you is that we must keep them engaged. We must keep them employed. They are young, they are dynamic.
What I believe in is African leadership for African solutions, because those problems need Africa's leadership.
The Next Narrative Africa is characterized by youth-focused content and requires a robust content research and development process and bringing together of Africa's policymakers, corporates, and arts industry creatives. Blanche Correses, NBC News, New York.